Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are tearing into one of the most significant government documents released in a long time, the official 2021 report on unidentified aerial phenomena, or UAPs. Now, this isn't about wild speculation. This is the official word from the Director of National Intelligence. And believe me, it's a game changer.
Okay, let's just jump right in with the single most stunning conclusion from the entire report. After decades of this whole topic being shoved into the land of conspiracy, the U.S. government is officially on record saying that, yeah, most of these sightings are probably real, physical objects. We're not talking about weather phenomena or swamp gas here. We're talking about actual things flying in our airspace.
So how in the world did they get to that conclusion? Well, that's what we're going to break down. We're going to walk through what the investigators found, the huge hurdles they had to overcome, the 5 possible explanations they're now working with, why this is suddenly a massive national security issue, and finally, what the plan is to get some real answers.
All right, first up, what did the UAP Task Force actually uncover when they started digging into all this data? This is where it starts to get really interesting.
So the team zeroed in on 144 specific reports, pretty much all from U.S. government sources and mostly from military pilots. What's wild is that the vast majority of these came in just in the last couple of years, right after the Navy set up a new, formal way to report this stuff. That tells you we've probably only been scratching the surface for a very long time.
And here's the kicker. These weren't just blurry photos or someone's shaky eyewitness account. In a whopping 80 of those 144 cases, the object was being tracked by multiple sensor systems at the exact same time. We're talking radar, infrared, electro-optical systems, you name it. When you have that much data all pointing to the same thing, it becomes very hard to just dismiss it.
But, and this is a big but, even with all that high-tech data, the report is brutally honest. The vast majority of these cases are still unexplained. The data was just too limited for most of this period. So out of 144 credible sightings from our best pilots and sensors, they could only positively identify one, and it was a deflating balloon. The other 143, total mysteries.
And inside that mystery box of 143 cases, there are 18 incidents that are just on another level. These are the reports where these objects did things that seem to, frankly, defy our current understanding of technology and physics.
So what are we talking about here? Well, pilots reported objects that could just hang stationary in hurricane-force winds, move directly against the wind, make instant hairpin turns without slowing down, and hit incredible speeds. And they did it all with no visible engines, no exhaust, no means of propulsion that we could see. In a few instances, our own aircraft even picked up radio frequency energy coming from the UAPs. It's this kind of stuff that made the report say they need to analyze if breakthrough technologies were demonstrated.
So the big question is, right, if you've got these things on advanced military radar, why is the report so inconclusive? Well, that brings us to the huge problems the investigation ran into, and it's as much about people as it is about technology. It really boiled down to 2 things. First, there was this massive cultural stigma. The report flat out says that for years, pilots and intelligence officers who saw something weird were afraid of being ridiculed or damaging their careers if they spoke up. That means these 144 reports are probably just the tip of the iceberg. And second, our own tech has its limits. Our sensors are built to find enemy planes and missiles, not to analyze something completely unknown and out of context.
This leads to a really important idea the report brings up, which they call collection bias. Basically, most of these sightings happen around military training areas. The task force doesn't think it's because UAPs are drawn there. It's because that's where we have all our best sensors and our most highly trained observers, who are now finally being told it's okay to report what they see.
Okay, so with all this weird data, the task force realized pretty quickly that there's no single one-size-fits-all answer here. So instead, they came up with 5 different categories, kind of like sorting bins, to try and make sense of future incidents.
These explanations really run the gamut. The first 2 are the boring ones. Airborne clutter, birds, drones, plastic bags, and natural atmospheric stuff that can fool sensors. The next 2 are what really worry the Pentagon. Secret U.S. tech that's being misidentified, or much worse, some kind of crazy advanced technology from an adversary like China or Russia. And then there's category number 5, other. This is the official catch-all for anything that doesn't fit, for things that, as the report puts it, might need new scientific knowledge to even understand. This brings us to the most important question of all. Why should we care? Why is the government suddenly taking this so seriously?
The answer has nothing to do with aliens and everything to do with very real-world dangers. The report couldn't be clearer on this. It says UAPs pose a direct threat in two major ways. One is an immediate safety issue, and the other is a serious potential threat to national security.
First and foremost, and this is just plain scary, is flight safety. Our airspace is crowded, and these things are a hazard. The task force found 11 documented cases where military pilots had a near miss with one of these objects. That's 11 times a fighter jet almost collided with something.
And second, and this is the big one for the intelligence community, is the risk to national security. The report asks the tough questions. Could these be sophisticated spy platforms from another country collecting intelligence on us? Or, even more terrifying, could they be proof that an adversary like China or Russia has developed some kind of revolutionary aerospace technology that we can't compete with?
So look, at the end of the day, the government is essentially raising its hands and saying, we don't have the answers. But, and this is the huge change, they're also saying, but we are finally going to get them. This report wasn't an ending. It was the formal public beginning of a serious investigation.
So here's the game plan. It's got three main parts. First, standardized reporting across the board. Navy, Air Force, FAA, everybody. So all the data goes into one place. Second, get smarter about collection, like using AI to go back through years of old radar data to find things we missed. And third, actually put some serious money into this, with a dedicated plan for research and development.
This report really is a landmark document. It's the highest levels of the U.S. government formally admitting that there are things in our skies that are real, that are unidentified, and that are doing things we just can't explain. It doesn't give us the final answer, not by a long shot, but what it does do is set the stage for a new, serious, and coordinated hunt for that answer. The only question now is, what are they going to find?